Welcome back. So now we have the AuthGuard right here. Happy days. We can return true or false, but we of course want to add some logic so we can actually return are you logged in or not instead of true and false. So what they show right here in their example is a way to kind of do this where they fake that you log in locally. We're going to do it a little bit differently. So instead of having this guard right here, we're going to use a lot of this in their AuthGuard example. You can go and check it out. We're going to use a lot of this, but I'm going to try and work a little differently. Instead of just returning true or tree, I'm actually going to instead return observable with true or tree inside it in order to show you guys two things. One is how we can use observables to kind of do these statements, but the second one is how we can use map to convert data in an observable to something else. Let's try and see what I'm talking about right here. We'll start inside our AuthGuard right here, and in that one we need to go to the constructor. So we want to make a constructor, and then we want to add our private auth right here. So the auth is going to be the auth service itself. There we go. So now we have that available. We're going to need that so we can call the auth service inside our AuthGuard. So this is kind of dependency injection like we already talked about. Now, when you return can activate, you can either return an observable with a true or false and a URL tree. You can return a promise with a true or false and a URL tree. You can just return Boolean, or you can just return a URL tree. Now, what I'm going to return is actually not going to be any of these. I'm actually going to return an observable with the value inside it, and then this can activate itself, knows how to kind of get the information that it needs. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the AuthGuard, and then we're going to use the isLoggedIn that we built, because this guy knows if we are logged in or not right now. But there's a small problem, because it seems that this behavior subject returns either string or null. It doesn't return actually what I need, which is again either a Boolean value or URL tree. So what we're going to look at this lesson is going to be mapping data. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to add a pipe again. And then inside the pipe, I'm going to call something called map. I'm going to import that one. And the map right here means that I can now take the result I'm getting back. It might be a token or at least a string of some kind. And then what I can do is I can return right here, and let's just return true for now. I can return a new value. So I'm taking whatever the behavior subject returns, and I'm mapping that information into a new value inside the map right here. That's pretty neat. So you can actually change what you're mapping inside an observable on runtime. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to say, if the token is actually there, if the token is something, then what I want to do is, then I want to return true. I could of course make the validation better. I could make like, if there's actually a token and the token value is, we could also add like length. We can say if there's a token and token.length, because that's actually a string right here, is above 0, right? Then I know there's a token there. Then I'm going to return true. If this is not the case, I'm actually going to return a redirection to the login page. Now again, if you go and check out the guide, there's actually an example on how to do that as well. We're going to need the router for that, so let's just add the router, private router, and let's add that router into our system so we have that available. Now the router is again a way for me to redirect in the Angular routing system. There we go, let's just import that one. And now we can use the router right here, and what we'll say is, if we find a token, happy days. If not, then what we'll do is actually we'll say return this.router dot, and then it has, again, if you look at the guide, it has one called pass URL right here. So we'll try that one, pass URL. And what that will be is actually going to be a route to the login page in my case. And it's actually going to be to /auth/login right here, that router. And there we go. Let's just save that as the final thing. And let's see if we actually have a running system before we just end the video. So let's just go into our route right here. And right now you'll see I cannot go to the products route. So let's try and go to the login page. And we could actually try and go to the products right here first. Let's say /products. And then automatically we'll be redirected to the login page. That's working at least. Let's go to my, let's try and log in right here. There we go. Now we do that, we go directly to the products page. And it's allowed now because we're actually logged in. If we log out again, automatically we go back to the logout page or the login page. So everything is running, but the difference compared to the guide is that we actually right here use an observable. We map the data. So instead of getting what the basic data is, which is just a string, we're actually mapping the observable. So instead of returning that string now, it's going to return either true, like we're saying right here, or it's going to return a URL tree, which is what we're saying right here. And then automatically that can activate knows what to do. happy days. One thing you should notice is I put in a front slash right here in front of the auth in the path URL. Normally when we do the redirect, we don't put that in there, but with the path URL, you need that front slash right there. So if this is not working, try and check out if you forgot the front slash. That's it for this lesson. Let's just end it right here. Now you know a little bit about can activate, and you also know how to use the observable in the can activate compared to their example right here where they're just doing a basic true false value. That's it for this lesson. See you next time. Bye.